Okay, another quick little update on the 250 TS. You notice the alternator is all back together. After cleaning up the crankshaft taper and doing a little bit of filing on the rotor itself, I lapped the two together and we seem to have a pretty good mate. The Woodruff key turned out to be exactly the size that I'd made for the knee power feed conversion on my milling machine, and one of the ones that had got dropped and disappeared had reappeared, so that's been slotted in. And the bike had to come off the bench for a while to put my 350 Sport up for a service, and so I wheeled it out into the back lane and actually washed most of the chain lube rubbish out of the engine casing, gave it a clean up. Now on the alternator, what I've done is I've put it all back in as stock, and I took a look at the regulator that you can see here, and I hopefully have repaired it. What appears to mainly happen with these is there's no coating on the circuit board and the components simply rot off. The load resistor that's applied across the alternator output to limit the voltage, those go open circuit, and so I have now used this pair of 25 watt power resistors I had lying around, which are wired in parallel for a value close to the original, and some diodes were replaced, and with any luck that'll all function. And you know, it may not be the best system, but as long as it functions, I'm happy for now. I can always readdress things later. Anyway, the other little job that took a fair amount of effort is the silencers. These were pretty badly carboned up for such a low mileage bike, so I suspect that someone had been over oiling the premix, or that the quality of the oil wasn't particularly high. But the silencers cleaned up. The chrome, it's far from perfect, but actually it's not looking at all bad. There's a slight rust bloom on the right hand one compared to the left. That'll get polished off and a protective wax polish put on. It did look a lot better than this. I gave it an acid clean, which I find very effective on chrome, and so it's got a little bit of flash rusting in the pores. Now further up you can see one of the baffle units, and then above and to the right you can see the other baffle unit all disassembled, and these took a considerable amount of cleaning. These were all actually cleaned with a propane torch to get all the oil out of the carbon, and mostly they were got good and hot and repeatedly dropped into water to shock the carbon off, and then the final residues given a little bit of a scrub, and they came up pretty good. So all these parts assemble onto a square rod through the centre, and then the end cap, like the one down here, then holds them in place and has a little perforated baffle finally in the tail. So these are by no means a modern style two-stroke expansion chamber exhaust, which is a very popular mod on these when the old exhausts go. A lot of these get turned into classic race bikes. In fact, they were meant to be quite high performance. But Going to be putting these together this evening, putting them back on the bike, and then we're actually pretty close to being able to fire the engine up.